join?
I enlisted in the Air Force in 1956.
I enlisted when I was 18 years old.
Well, actually, I was drafted. At the time, most guys got out of high school. You either went on to college or you went into the military. Patriotism was still very high. World War II had only been over for 5 years, so the country was still on a high from that. So if you were enlisted in the service, you could go into any branch, Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, and so on. If you were drafted, you only went into the service for 2 years. If you enlisted, you went in for 3 or 4. So I waited to get drafted for the 2 years, but then I lost my opportunity to join, say, the Air Force, which I probably would have done. So I was drafted and went into the Army.
I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps.
I enlisted when I was 17 years old.
Join.
2 years enlistment, September 1948, September 28, 1948.
I enlisted in the military through ROTC at the University of Rhode Island.
I enlisted. You enlisted?
No, I wasn't drafted. I actually signed up.
1948, I enlisted for 3 years. And I was extended 1 year because Korea, happened to go to Korea.
I had an uncle who was in the Marines in the First World War, and I listened to him tell stories about the Corps and everything, and I became very interested in it. And through that, I joined the Marines.
Right out of high school?
Yeah. I started Temple University.
Okay.
I was a freshman here, and I just hated it. College and I didn't see eye to eye, and I was part of it was a night school, and a whole lot of us were up in the library, and one fellow said, you know, I don't like this. What do you say we go in the Marine Corps? And I had an uncle who was not a blood relative. He was a Lance Corporal in World War I. And I listened to his stories, and I thought, oh, that's not a bad idea, I'll go. So, I think about 20 of us went down and enlisted at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, recruiting sergeant said he died and went to heaven.
Well, we lived in a small house, and there was 3 kids in one bed. And the oldest one, my oldest brother, he had his own bed, so there was 4 of us in one room. My father took me out of school when I was 16. He had a job waiting for me. And I couldn't wait to get away from that environment and enlist and go do something else.
I went to 1 year of college, didn't do very well, and I sold an advertisement and joined for 3 years.
I joined because I was in the Marine Reserves in high school. And when I got out of high school, I left the Marine Reserves. So they said they were going to put my name in the draft board. So I joined the Air Force. I spent 4 years in the Air Force.
I was pretty young at the time, and I finished high school when I was 16 because I graduated, skipped a grade in grade school. Had 2 years of college in, still only 18. At that time, every young man had to serve 8 years in the military, whether it be active or in the reserves, but he had an 8-year commitment. And while you were in college, I knew you could get a deferment. But once you graduated, they'd be there waiting for you. Now, I felt it would be more advantageous for me, because I was still a little unsettled on what direction I wanted to go in college. I think I'll get my military obligation out of the way first, and rather than finish my college and then have to go away, and that would be inconvenient. I'd rather finish my college and go to work right from there if I could. And so that's basically why I enlisted.
I joined because I had a sense of a duty to the United States for what it provided me in growing up in schools and the freedom that I had within the country, and I felt I had an obligation to repay that.
I was about 10 years old when World War II broke out, and down in the country, if we got done our chores and off the farm in time, we went and played a lot of Japs and Marines in the woods. And naturally, I wasn't going to be a Jap. And I always wanted to go in the Marines, and I wanted to be a telephone lineman, climb them poles with them spurs, electric company, you know. So I went up to the electric company to sign up for that, and he says, we're getting servicemen back that are already trained. So he says, my suggestion is go into service. So I said, hey, I'm thinking about going in the Marines anyhow. So that's how I wound up in the Marines.
Well, we were going
going to get drafted anyway, so we thought we'd just go in and get it over with. You know, back then they had the drafts. Now they don't have a draft. You guys are lucky, but if you don't want to serve in the military, but the military is still a good organization.